Hey guys, check this out. Look at this situation right here. This is like some chia goodness. Yeah, fruit extravaganza. This is breakfast. Good morning from Bali and from Ubud, Bali. And I wanted to come on today to share with you. Oh, by the way, type in the comments where you are watching from, because I would like to see where you are and what time zone you're on and who's there. So I want to talk about the dangers of traveling overseas that nobody talks about. So nobody talks about, hey Rama. So this is really interesting. When I first came to Bali, it was actually 4 years ago yesterday. So March 21st, the first day of spring in America, was when I first flew to Bali for the very first time, and I was here for 5 weeks, and that's when I decided to move here, and then ended up living here for 3 years. But before I came, I remember like I was at the San Francisco Travel Clinic and they started telling me about Japanese encephalitis and all these, which I paid $500 for this shot, for this rare thing where if the mosquito bites you, your head swells and you die instantly or go into a coma. And then when I was, there's this another woman who said that her yoga teacher here turned the air conditioner on and he got meningitis from the air conditioner. And somebody else was telling me about crime, and what I learned was, what I did was I got really scared. I went to the travel clinic and I spent all this money on shots, and I got DEET, which is toxic, and I slathered the DEET all over my system and my body. And so my first weekend in Bali, I was in Seminyak. I rented this really nice villa and I did not enjoy myself at all. I didn't know how to deal with jet lag, first of all, but I refused to turn the air conditioner on because that woman told me you can get meningitis from an air conditioner. And then I refused to have my windows open because I thought the mosquitoes might kill me and bite me and kill me. So I basically sweated indoors, in the heat for the first weekend and was miserable. And then I realized that I was covered in other people's fear. OPF. Right? So I was completely consumed by these ideas outside of myself that weren't actually me. And so I'm miserable on my vacation, flew 8,000 miles to Bali, and I'm terrified to leave and I rented this nice villa with a pool, and I was afraid to enjoy it because I was afraid of dying because people told me that I would. And so, yeah, it ended up living under other people's fear, ended up being expensive because of all the shots that I bought, and toxic because of the stuff I slathered on my system, and not enjoyable and not fun. And so what I realized was that people outside of me were only mirroring back to me what I was having on the inside. So other people have fear or jealousy or envy or whatever it is that they're dealing with, or their own resistance or their own reasons why they're not coming, or however they're living their life, and they were putting their fear on me. But it matched the fear that I had myself. I was nervous about coming to Indonesia. I was nervous about mosquito-borne disease. I was nervous about all these things and crime. And the truth is, I came from the Marina District in San Francisco, which actually it's more dangerous to live in San Francisco if you look at crime rates than to live in Bali, Indonesia, as far as how many people are murdered in San Francisco or whatever crime is going on. And so one thing that happens when we step outside the norm, right? Yesterday I was talking about giving no fucks, and I'm reading the book about that, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And one thing that when we start to do something different, or start to do something out of the norm or out of the cultural standard, or start to go out on our own, what happens, it's called the crab in the bucket mentality. And this literally happens with crabs. So if you have a bucket of crabs somewhere, as soon as one crab starts to crawl out of the bucket, the other crabs will pull him back down in. So the crabs can never get free. So as soon as the courageous crab starts its trek, it gets sucked back in. And humans do this too. Well-meaning humans that we may call, that might be a family member or a loved one, but well-meaning humans also do the crab in the bucket thing to us. So they start to pull us back in. So when I say I'm gonna go to Indonesia, the other crabs are pulling me back in the bucket. You're gonna die, you're gonna be afraid, you're gonna be bitten by these bugs. And the air conditioner is gonna kill you. So, and that's great. That's great. And it's great that people have their opinions, but what's really helpful, I think, for somebody who wants to honor themselves and doesn't want to be, wants to be not a sheep in the herd, but wants to be a lion, or has dreams in the herd that they want to live, it's to start realizing that the outside world, right, is mirroring our inside world. So if I'm afraid, I'm going to attract people who are going to mirror that back to me. And that if I want to do my own thing, I can't be worried about I got to give zero fucks, right, back to the book, about what other people are thinking about me. and be wise about it. So maybe there is a relationship between the mosquitoes and here, honestly, I've been in Bali 3 years, or I lived here for 3 years. Dengue is a thing. People get really sick with dengue, and there's no prevention for that. You get really sick and that's it. I haven't gotten it. And so that is real. That is a real risk of living here. There's real risks of living anywhere, of living in San Francisco. So yeah, you guys type where you're watching from so I can get an idea of who's on live with me and where you're at, what city you're in, what country, what time zone. So it really is, other people's fear was up in my grill, in my face, when I had a lot of fear inside me. And you better believe nobody put their fear on me this time that I came to Bali. But it wouldn't even work. I packed a carry-on suitcase. I was like confused about a carry-on suitcase that wasn't even, Canggu, all right. A carry-on suitcase that wasn't even extended. And I'm like, am I not bringing enough? I didn't bring all the stuff that I would have brought before because I was terrified of going somewhere, traveling somewhere. If you're street smart, it's not dangerous. It's other people's fear is dangerous. We all know stories about the worst thing that ever happened to somebody somewhere. And the reality is that tragedy happens everywhere. But we can link in our mind that, if you go to this place, I knew someone who went to Bali and this happened, therefore Bali is awful or unsafe or whatever. That's just somebody's experience. I know somebody who had a bad experience in San Francisco. I know somebody who had a bad experience in Sydney and in New York. So it's really... what I think is so important, and the lesson that I want to share. Oh, hey, Santa Barbara. Hey, Sydney. The lesson that I really want to share is when we live by other people's fear, that is us just playing small. And if you want to go all in on life, if you want to live a life to have your spirit lit up, and you want to live by your heart, then letting go of what other people's fear, finding the wisdom, finding the message with it that the messenger is bringing you about the fear. Like maybe you do want to get the Japanese what is it called? Encephalitis shot. Maybe you don't. I didn't this time. And so tragedy happens everywhere. That's reality. But fear is actually the biggest tragedy of all. And letting other people mirror that fear back to you and owning other people's fear. And knowing that if you're going to be the crab who climbs out of the bucket, that you are going to be pulled back by the well-meaning people around you. I think in Australia, I see there's some Australians on the live. In Australia, they call it the tall poppy syndrome, I think, where, so anytime we try to come at the crab that tries to climb out of the bucket, people will try to pull us back down. And you just gotta climb through that resistance. If there's a dream in your heart, a desire in your heart, know that people will resist you. And that's just part of the growth. That's part of you getting to be you and shine you. As we shine our light, it makes other people who are not shining their light want to dim us so that they don't have to look at their own dimness of light. And that's fine. Everyone gets to live however they want to live. Right? But I want to shine my light, and not everyone's going to like that. And particularly the people who aren't shining their lights are going to be unattracted by the fact that I want to attract my light. And that's fine. I know somebody who was saying recently that she started posting videos on Facebook and her family members said you're self-centered or had some negative comments about it. That's crab in the bucket. That's someone shining their light and other people are trying to bring a girl down. And that's fine. That's just part of what happens. And it's expected. Expect not everyone's going to vibe with you, especially if you're increasing your vibe and increasing what you want to do in your life and in your world. Not everyone's going to get it. Let's see, I got a comment right here. My mom has severe travel anxiety and got anxious when I told her I was planning a trip to Ireland. It got me worked up. Yeah, so we can live our lives based upon other people's fear. I invite you not to. Maybe you even watch me because you don't want to, because you're working through your own fear. Other people will put their fear on us, well-meaning people, lovable people. And it's up to us whether we want to channel our light and our A game and go all in and conquer our own fear, master our own fear, or whether we want to be a part of the herd and live by other people's fear. So you can break free from your conditioning. I'm going to show you my breakfast again. Look what I'm about to eat. Check this guy out. This is like tropical fruit madness. So yeah, I'm gonna hop off in a second, but again, just type in where you're watching from so I can see where in the world we are. Hi Brian, hi Marie. Cool. So that's the moral of my story, is that life can be dangerous, that traveling isn't inherently dangerous. There isn't dangers in going overseas. There are dangers in being alive. That's part of being a human, that tragedy does happen, and it can happen anywhere. And if there's something in your heart, go out and do it. Shine. Shine. We want you to shine. Some of us want you to shine. I want you to shine. All right, have a beautiful day.